What are you thinking, Donatas?
I have a very interesting fetish to randomly end up in checking the previous drafts. And do you know why the NBA draft of 2015, I would say, should be interesting or noteworthy for Panathinaikos fans?
They might have a player or two from that draft in the roster as of this moment, right?
They have one fresh name on their team. So this is the reason why I checked the draft. But I was surprised to see 6 current or former Panathinaikos players on that draft.
Really?
And the list starts, I don't know if you want to make a guess, but a top 5 pick of the 2015 NBA draft that played in Panathinaikos and was a special player for that team and especially a fan base. And even though he's a star in the EuroLeague at the moment, he always expressed his love for the Green fan base. Exactly. Bravo. The first one.
The one you got me was always expresses the love.
The second one, the player we both love a lot, and he's coming from a family of a lot of great brothers who play basketball.
Right. He's a current player.
Yep.
Kostas?
Oh, okay.
No,
this is also a very well-known basketball family, but I'm talking about other brothers from the United States.
From the United States.
But that's a good guess, actually. I forgot about Kostas. Jaren Grant. Number 19th. Sure. Then Cedi Osman comes 31st. And then we have some Zalgiris guys also on the list who played for Panathinaikos coming at 47 and 49. Who do you think they are?
Zalgiris.
Plays both in Zalgiris and Panathinaikos.
But now does not play in neither of those. Oh my God, both Zalgiris. I'm on a spot here. Just
Frontline players.
Frontline player, both Zalgiris and Panathinaikos. Aaron White.
Exactly, 49.
49, and who else?
From Lithuania, joining Philadelphia 76ers. Arturas Gudaitis, my friend.
Arturas, right. I forgot about him.
And the last Panathinaikos player drafted in 2015, who is not on the team anymore, went 59. He's Greek.
59.
Very unexpected name for you and for the most European basketball fans not from Greece, I would say.
Yeah, just go with it.
Dimitris Zagravanis.
Oh, okay.
Man, there's no chance to remember this fun fact.
We were doing the other drafts before the podcast. We were just trying to guess with some hints the players that went like in the second round of each NBA draft. And the deeper you go into the second round, like from 45th to 60th pick in every NBA draft is just crazy. I mean, the random names that you can find there, a lot of Europeans that when drafted barely played in the NBA, like, I don't know, Vanja Marinkovic, the last pick in one of those drafts 5 years ago, I think. Yaramas was there, Tyron Wallace, who's now in Zalgiris with the last pick. Alec Peters, that 3 Olympiacos current roster players have been picked like from 54th to 57th, something like that.
Peters, Goss, and
Vezenkov.
Vezenkov,
yeah. There was one American in between of those, but like 3 guys that were drafted by 3 different teams now play in one team. So it was a kind of fun game to do before the podcast, and then also this now.
And that's why, sorry in advance, because that's why we didn't prepare for the main topics of the podcast, because we spent the last 1 hour of the preparation for just randomly guessing and playing the quiz of the NBA draft.
It's way more fun. I mean, last year during I don't know how to say this, the trip with the work we had in one of the Lithuanian cities, at the night, instead of, I don't know, doing something fun, Rytis started this game where basically we would just choose a draft, for example, like 2004, and we would try to guess from first to the 60th pick, and we were like spent 2 hours, 3 hours playing the game, just like that. It was probably one of the most funniest conversations there we had, because, some guys just know Europe, some guys like the NBA more. So, this was a lot of fun. But I guess a lot of fun for Panathinaikos fans, I guess, and we have to address this issue.
Yeah.
What were your first thoughts, Donatas? And I'm now the host.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Nice to meet you, the host of the EuroBONUS podcast, Augustas Šiliauskas.
I have Donatas URBONUS with me here today. So
Over there behind the camera. And we're going to cover Cedi Osman's arrival to Panathinaikos. 5, 10, or whatever the number is, most favorite, the best transfers from the personal perspective, from the personal angle.
Best off-season moves, like not the best, the ones we like the most, maybe.
Or just like random order. Anyways.
It was really a subjective.
Yeah. And we're going to also share our first reactions of first 2 Zalgiris games. Since we have a big Lithuanian fan base following the podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about Zalgiris, because who knows, maybe during the season there won't be any window to talk about Zalgiris, because they're going to be,
there will be. Don't
they will
the
be.
sentence.
I remember
there
your
will be good.
ranking.
There will be good.
9th. Okay, we'll see. Anyways,
higher.
Let's start from the stars. Who cares about Zalgiris? Let's start from the stars. Cedi Osman, your first reaction.
No, I wanted to hear your first reaction, but
I was shocked. I didn't expect that Panathinaikos was on the market actually, and on this market. I mean, to sign a former, he was current NBA player. He had nice stats in San Antonio, in Cleveland, and I didn't think that he was really considering this move, although there were these rumors about Real Madrid. For some reason, I didn't believe in them from the beginning. Right. And now he's signing with Panathinaikos, the team I didn't expect. I didn't think that they needed this signing, but when I started thinking about it, I was like, okay, I see you, Ergin. I see you, Sane Bečirović, because that's how I read the situation. So other teams, they're upgrading their teams.
Right.
We saw a lot of big signings, big moves, a lot of upgrades. Teams like Olympiacos stepped up their game. Real Madrid, Fenerbahce, some other clubs, they're going to be really good. So I'm the champion. I'm the EuroLeague champion. I'm Panathinaikos. And it's so hard to defend the title. And they already did some nice moves, like bringing Yurtseven instead of Balcharovsky. Who else did they bring?
Lorenzo Brown.
Oh, Lorenzo Brown. I forgot about Lorenzo Brown as a backup for this team. And then I'm like, okay, how I was doing in the playoffs. And I remember this game against Maccabi where Bonzi Colson was killing me. And although I loved Marius Grigonis in the regular season, in the playoffs, he was basically unplayable. And I had to play Giannis Papapetrou, who was really solid in the playoff series and also in the Final Four. And respect to Giannis Papapetrou, he's a great guy. He's my Greek player on my team. That's awesome. But I might be vulnerable, at this position. So I'm Ergin Mataman, and there's this Turkish player, on the market. And from what I've heard, they're in a really good relationship. So I'm just signing him because what I'm getting a really elite asset. I would call him an asset because to me, he's a very solid all-around player for Panathinaikos because he's big. He can really defend. I mean, I watched Turkish national team games and I saw Ataman putting Cedi Osman on Lorenzo Brown, for instance, when they play against Spain. Then he can shoot off the dribble. He can draw a lot of fouls. He's really aggressive on offense, although you can see him being utilized without using the ball that much. So you're getting all-around elite asset to already a close to perfect team to defend your title. That's a really solid move.
That's not bad, huh?
Yeah.
That's not bad at all by Panathinaikos. And I remember even last year, a couple of times on this podcast, I mentioned that, to me, their weakest spot is small forward position just because of basically, Grigonis, for the majority of his career, he played the shooting guard. And I know Ataman wants to play with as much ball handlers as you can see. Grigonis can shoot. He fits well. He was great in the regular season. But I always thought that Panathinaikos might go for a higher profile name at the small forward position. We were talking about, Mikhailuk, some other names there. And I was like, knowing that you're building a super team already last summer, I was expecting them to have a bigger name in the small forward position already. So, and I completely agree with your point that to win a title is hard, but to repeat a title, it's even harder. And I think you have to upgrade. And, you know, if you're trying to win the title for the second year in a row with the same squad, it's super hard. It's the EuroLeague at the top is going to be really competitive. And that's why I was like, because, you know, some people said, you know, how Panathinaikos did not need this move is basically because Olympiacos signed Fournier, blah, blah, blah. But I think they needed, you know, a player like him. Although, you know, I really like Marius Grigonis, what he brings to the team. But as you mentioned, Papapetru, I don't think you can play Papapetru at the free during the regular season, the huge minutes. So Cedi Osman is a huge upgrade for PAO. I think he could have stayed in the NBA. I mean, I talked with some people and, you know, they were saying that probably Cedi didn't want to wait anymore, didn't want to have an unpredictable role in the offense. That's why he just decided, okay, I'm just going to, you know, go to the EuroLeague, be one of the main guys, and I'm going to be much happier with this role. So, you know, I don't think he's going to be the main player. I think Kendrick Nunn, Kostas Lukas is still going to run the show.
He doesn't need to be the main guy, but he has all the tools to actually be the main guy if the situation requires. I mean, what if Lukas gets injured? You know, what if something happens to Kendrick Nunn? I mean, his health is one of the red flags why he didn't return to the NBA on a, let's say, on better conditions.
Yeah, and he was good. He was good last year with in that department, you know, with the health.
And Cedi Osman also can be great at running the second unit as the offensive leader. You know, if Lukas is not coming off the bench, I mean, or if he's injured. So I mean, that's a really freaking solid move.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be. You know, I remember. We have to understand that like Cedi in NBA and Cedi in the Turkish national team, I mean, in the FIBA context, are two different players. Like one in the NBA and even the numbers basically, you know, will prove what I'm about to say here. You know, in the NBA, he is a spot up, transition, and cut player. Basically, his pick and roll, ball handler, and isolation are non-existent. Like those numbers consist like for 5% of his entire offensive possessions. When he's playing with the Turkish national team, he's like 20% pick and roll ball handler, 20% transition, and then it's like a little bit of isolation, and it's way more playing with the ball. But because the last time he played with the Turkish national team, like Shane Larkin was really injured, and they don't really have other guys, he needs to do that. Like he needs to play with the ball. I don't think when there is Kendrick Nunn, Kostas Lukas there, I don't think he will play much with the ball because that's not his main strength. But I mean, to have a guy like Cedi, if he can knock down the threes at a consistent rate, it's just a huge luxury for EuroLeague champions.
But you mentioned something about Olympiacos fans saying that they didn't really need this move and they made it only because Olympiacos improved their roster. I kind of agree to some extent. To some extent, because to me, it's a luxury move. Really, it's a luxury move to sign Cedi Osman on top of your roster that was already solid. One of the, they have one of the top budgets in the EuroLeague. And from the first look, I don't remember us talking that, Panathinaikos desperately needs another small forward to survive in this EuroLeague. No. And if Olympiacos or other teams didn't make bold moves on the market, I'm not necessarily seeing Panathinaikos signing Cedi Osman. So to some extent, I agree. And this is not that bad thing. I mean, it's not a bad thing at all. But I think that, you know, this move was also impacted by a lot of other things that were happening around. And they signed Cedi Osman.
So you agree that like the timeline of Fournier going to Olympiacos added motivation for Giannakopoulos to close this deal?
I'm not saying it was like 50% behind this deal, but like maybe 5%, maybe 10%. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if that's the truth. I think maybe the timelines just added up because, you know, Cedi didn't get. I read the report. I don't know if that's true. Like he got a training camp offer from Los Angeles Lakers, but they basically did not. They basically couldn't, tell him that we will sign you probably and you will have a role in our team. They didn't give any,
guarantees
for him. So that's why he decided to come to Europe at this moment exactly.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how the timelines ended up. One Greek team adds ex-NBA player, 3, 4, 5 days later, the in-town rival adds a former NBA player. So I just think, imagine just as one last thing, I already imagine Panathinaikos doing is just running Kendrick Nunn, Cedi Osman like slip screen at the top of the key, and what are you going to do? It's a luxury to have in the EuroLeague. I don't know how the defenses are going to cope with it, and in the pick and roll, him as a floor stretcher, it will be super hard for the opponents of Panathinaikos. Yurtseven as well as a backup. Panathinaikos' depth is ridiculous. Like Marius Grigonis is going to be, I don't want to predict, but he could be like a 10th, 11th
player.
roster player. Yeah. Papa Petru, 11th, 12th player. Their second unit, Panathinaikos' second unit, will be on a lot of other EuroLeague teams. A lot of those guys would be starting.
Yeah, potentially the second unit team is potentially a playoff team in the EuroLeague. Because we're talking about Lorenzo Brown, Kostas Lukas, let's say Grigonis or Papa Petru, whatever, Juancho and Yurtseven.
Yeah. Brat.
What are we talking
about here?
Come on, what we're talking about. So, as an analyst from the strategic standpoint, I like this move. But if I'm the neutral EuroLeague fan, which I am, I'm a bit mad, because I want balance in the EuroLeague. And I believe that Paulius Matiunas in his office in Barcelona, he also prefers and wants balance. So in my ideal world, I'm sending Cedi Osman to our EuroLeague team. For instance, Maccabi Tel Aviv. On the last pod, I've just been saying that they need a star perimeter wing player, to be better, to improve their picture. So I think Cedi Osman would be a perfect fit on Maccabi roster. Evan Fournier, I don't know, send him to Baskonia or whatever, somewhere there, and he improves their chances. And we see, more quality on all of these teams. So that's my only negative thing about this move, that Greek teams are becoming super teams, and the gap between the top of the list is getting bigger. And on that top, I see on this Acropolis mountain, I see Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, Real Madrid, and probably Fenerbahce is somewhere there.
Fener needs a center.
Oh yeah,
but
I think we're gonna talk about Fener a little bit later. Sure.
Yeah. But I agree. I get what you're saying. I understand why Panathinaikos did this at the same time. But I see that the EuroLeague this season might have a problem with the disparity between the first half teams and the second half teams of the whole standings, of the all 18 teams. I think there will be a pretty big significant difference between like first 9, first 8, first 10 teams and the other half. And because what I saw in this offseason, I just saw the stronger get stronger, the rich get richer, if what's the saying. So, and at the top of the top, I see really at the moment, as things stand right now, today on the 9th of September, Real Madrid, PAO, Olympiacos, and it's not a particular order, not 1, 2, 3.
Of course, we'll see, because at some point, Zalgiris, they were 14th, but I think that they improved their roster. Even Zvezda, they were 16th. I think they might have a better chance. Bayern Munich, the same from the 15th position. So,
but some teams that were in the first 10, I thought
got worse.
Got worse.
Yeah. I agree. You know what would make basketball teams' front office job easier when you have to build a team in the free agency?
What?
A tool that would put everybody on the same page. You need players. You kind of know your budget, but maybe you're bad at maths. And there's this app, there's this platform, Genome, that lets you create an account that you can share with your employees, with your GM, with the scout, with the head coach, to be on the same page and to see how much money left I have after I sign this player, how much player I have for this much needed center signing. And the best thing is that you can do it if you're a basketball team, but you can also do it if you're a proud father of your family, to share some, budget for your family needs. Traveling, vacation, food, car, whatever kid wants.
All the expenses.
All these expenses.
Did you just promote the sponsor of this episode to yourself, actually? I mean, you mentioned the family.
I don't know.
No?
Could it be the case?
But which EuroLeague teams would you think would fit the most from Genome app? Which teams have a big mess? Because I know you're writing those articles during the season, about the salaries, about the how much they spend, maybe they overspend, and I think Genome would be a help for not only for those teams but also for people who watch this podcast.
I think Genome would be helpful for also those teams who have to deal with these, bank limitations or EuroLeague financial fair play or salary cap limitations, because
we need names.
Some banks, they have some limitations, and the best thing about Genome is that if you want this player and he costs this money, you're just gonna spend it through this platform with no limitations and no problems. That's another big benefit that Genome offers, as well as free to open, easy multi-currency accounts. You can hold up to 5 accounts
in different currencies.
Yep, euros, US dollars, pounds. As I said, you can separate your finances.
It basically, like, Genome helps you to actually have different accounts for different needs. If you are trying to save some money, if you're trying to, I don't know.
If you want to organize your budget, monthly salary.
Basically that.
That's an amazing thing. And that actually helps for those who cannot count their salary or who are always like, oh man, this is, I have to wait for 1 week for the next paycheck and I'm out of money. Or, oh, I never can save money for this new car or for this amazing trip. You can do that with the help of the platform of Genome.
Do you track your financials?
I don't, and that's bad, and that's why I need
you would
Genome.
benefit. Like I'm telling you, you are promoting this to yourself.
Yep,
actually.
So,
and whether you are like traveling, shopping online, you can, like, Genome has all the basic needs that a customer can have. You can pay your bills. You can exchange currencies with great rates, favorable rates. So it's a smart choice where you just hold your salary, I guess, and then basically have the expenses in different accounts or in one if you want to do so.
I'm intrigued. I'm going on genome.eu/receive salary. The other thing I wanted to mention about Greek teams becoming super teams, I tried to do some initial, very preliminary counting, how much money they spent to upgrade their teams from in Panathinaikos case, or to improve their teams to be bigger title contenders as Olympiacos. And from my initial calculations, Panathinaikos spent around extra 5 million on top of keeping this roster and also upgrading it with Cedi Osman, Yurt7 or Lorenzo Brown. Meanwhile, Olympiacos did moves worth around 7 million extra. What is 5 or 7 million net for player salaries in the EuroLeague? I checked the last year's budgets, and in comparison, last season, at least 5 EuroLeague teams spent from 3 to 6 million euros in total to build their teams. So these upgrades on already very solid teams, they costed more or similar to what 5 EuroLeague clubs spend in total for players.
Right.
That's insane. And there were a lot of reactions on Twitter as well that, these two teams, Olympiacos and Panathinaikos, they remind those, I cannot call them golden years, because Olympiacos in that case, when they spend a lot of money, they didn't win the EuroLeague. But it brings back those memories of these super teams that were built in Athens. And I had this question to you and to everybody, which teams were better, 2009 or 10 Panathinaikos and Olympiacos, or today's Pana and Olympiacos? So to start with Panathinaikos, I think that many mentioned 2009 Panathinaikos as one of the best ever EuroLeague teams.
Right.
And that roster included guards Spanoulis, Diamantidis, Šaras, Drew Nicholas, Hadzivretas, wings with Fotis, Perperoglu, Ketchman, and also bigs Nikola Pekovic, Mike Batiste, Kostas Tsartsaris. So this team competes against Lezor, Yurtseven, Metoglou, and Antetokounmpo. Also Cedi Osman, Papapetro, Juancho Hernan Gomez, and Nuns, Lucas, Jerian Grant, Lorenzo Brown, Marius Grigonis. I'm not sure. I mean, they're close to me. And we're talking about the potentially
teams,
best ever EuroLeague team.
Yeah, incredible teams.
This roster is close. In my eyes, they're close.
I don't know. That's a tough question. I want to hear the answers of
Panathinaikos fans, actually.
Our listeners. Yeah, and of course Panathinaikos fans, because they are probably the most objective on this question. Like,
because they should be hyped up about this roster, about the current roster, and also they have this nostalgia, from 2008.
And nostalgia hits hard, as we know. So
exactly, yeah.
But damn,
I don't know.
Crazy rosters, crazy good rosters.
And Olympiacos, now they have at bigs, they have Vezenkov, Milutinov, Fal, Moses Wright, Petrushev, Alec Peters, versus Nikola Vujicic, Yanis Barousis, Sophocles Shortsanitis, and Lukas Mavrakafalidis. At guards, they have Walkup, Fournier, Dorsey, Keenan Evans, Goss, Vildoza, McKissick, who is also a wing, Larenzakis, Mitrolong as well. I mean, they could build a team roster basically from guards only, versus Theo Papaloukas, Milos Teodosic, Juan Wafer, Yotam Halberin, Patrick Beverly, who was at the end of the rotation, Scooney Penn, and Kostas Lukas, who locked one game in the EuroLeague. And at wings, that previous Olympiacos team had Josh Childress and Linas Kleis and Panayotis Vasilopoulos versus Kostas Papanikolaou and maybe Shaq McKissick. That's where we could bring him.
I don't know. I still remember, Teodosic was young and Linas Kleis there. At the 3, they had Josh Childress. I remember at that time, it was crazy that a guy who was such an important player in the NBA has joined a EuroLeague team. Back at the time when 10 plus points per game in the NBA actually meant something.
Was a thing, yeah.
Yeah, because now it's like 15 at least. I was, it's a tough question for me. That's why I wanted to hear opinions from our listeners, because at that time I was watching basketball with different eyes, and I can't really understand how good those teams were, unless I rewatched a lot of games of those seasons. But all of those teams that could belong after this season could belong to a legendary category, because super stacked teams, 2 or 3 great players in every position. That's a luxury few clubs in the EuroLeague history has had. So.
But watching these rosters, I have a feeling that today's Pana and Olympiacos, they are deeper than those teams that I mentioned.
I agree. I have the same
quality of that depth is insane. So
look,
that's crazy.
Former NBA player coming in as a backup at the center for Pana is ridiculous. You have Juancho as a backup too, who was just in the NBA. Okay, he didn't play much, but still, you have Marius Grigonis, who was just, a couple of seasons ago.
Season. And he had an amazing season.
Last year, when he was with Zalgiris, he was first, second option there in the offense. Now you're a 10th, 11th guy in the roster on paper. Kostas Lukas as your backup, coming in off the bench with his experience, with his skill at this point of his career. Lorenzo Brown, okay, we're not sure about his physical form, but come on now. Like, we saw what he was capable of doing in the playoffs last season. I don't know, man.
Hey, but
I want to see how, these two teams mesh on court, because Fournier is new. Dorsey is not new, but coming back. Vezenkov is not new because he knows the system. But
who do you pick? Which move do you think is better, or we're talking about a better fit? Fournier or Osman?
I like both fits, but I think you're putting
what's
me
my
in a tough
standpoint?
spot.
I think that Cedi needs to do less to be good for Pana, and Fournier has higher expectations. And if Fournier wants to be utilized at his best, there's more responsibility on his shoulders than on Cedi's. And I think that's why I'm not saying that Cedi will have better stats. That's another interesting question. Who's going to have better stats? I don't think that Cedi will have an edge over Fournier.
But
his impact in overall in points. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Fournier is going to average more.
Yeah, but overall impact, I have a feeling that Cedi might be more impactful in the entire winning picture for Pana. Or at least I think that there's a bigger chance that he will do. Although if Fournier will be successful, I think it will bring more for Olympiacos, but the likelihood is a little bit slightly, that's a less likelihood compared to Cedi's case. It's a safer move.
I like your arguments. I like your points. I think you're right. I think Fournier's expectations are higher. He will have to do way
and
more.
Responsibilities, not only expectations.
Yeah. More responsibilities, more expectations. And I think overall, like if you are watching both sides of the court, I think Cedi is going to have greater impact, although I expect good things from both of these guys. So I see why both teams did these two moves.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different players, different types, different needs for the teams. So it's really hard to say. I think Fournier is going to average more.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think Cedi is going to have a little greater impact.
Mm-hmm. The question that I have also is, what happened to those Turks? I mean, we just had 4 Turkish players in the NBA. 3 of them left. So there's only Alperen Şengün in the NBA, right? Because Furkan Korkmaz signed with Monaco, Umer Yurtseven signed with Pana, and now there's Cedi Osman going to Pana as well.
Turkish players in the NBA: Ömer Aşık, Ersan İlyasova. Google is...
I mean, I think it's only Şengün.
Yeah. What happened to them? No, there's Onur Albitim, right? In Chicago.
He signed...
In Chicago last year.
Yes. I thought that he was a two-way player. He was basically a two-way player, right?
I'm not sure.
Two-way contract. Last summer. Oh no, sorry.
Look,
he signed the standard contract in February. Anyways,
I think those Turkish players and that Turkish national team were overrated. Come on now, they were never that good. Like,
okay, let's continue. I'm just bringing my popcorn from the kitchen.
No, I thought their expectations for that team were too high. They never delivered. They never meshed together well. And I don't know. I think that's the reason why they're in Europe right now. Although, as I said, like I imagine Osman could continue in the NBA easily. But I thought, the public opinion about them was a little bit too high. And I think, that in Europe, they will be great. In the NBA, at this moment, you need to be a super athlete. And just you need the right fits. It's a lot of different points that you have to check boxes in to be successful in the NBA. So I don't know if they had that really.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Or you just had a question prepared, but not the answer, right?
Prepared.
You put me under the bus here.
I don't necessarily need to answer all the questions.
Right.
My job is to raise right questions, interesting questions. So I don't know.
You got an interesting opinion about that.
My take would be that, although they were, they were widely recognized players from the European standpoint over there in the NBA, and I still think that, I'm not sure if I remember one tournament where I rated Turkish national team really high, and I think that team had Shane Larkin, Cedi Osman, Korkmaz, Alperen Şengün, Sertaç Şanlı, and just in general, I think that's a really solid roster. I think it was 2022 Eurobasket where I put Turkey over Spain.
Was Şengün there?
Maybe. Şengün was there, but of course he was really young, and defensively it was not the best picture, towards that team. But and I think that was a tournament where Shane Larkin got injured, so that kind of and they still almost won against France, which later made it to the final. So I always thought that they were a really solid team, but they were just missing this winning pedigree, winning mentality, because all these players, they're still, I cannot say that they're young, but at least at that time they were relatively young, and they didn't have leadership examples or those players with champions mentality to lead them to the next level, to the top 4, to the semifinals, or to the podium stage. So I think that was the fair assessment to like that Turkish team. But my point, I have just 2 points, regarding this topic. First of all, it's interesting to see these Turkish players from the NBA coming to Europe but not playing main roles. You cannot say that. I mean, Yurtseven is joining Pana as a backup for Matthias Lazor, which is
crazy.
Weird a little bit. Of course, if that was big money and now at this point you prefer a really solid paycheck, that's okay. But watching this Matthias Lazor, I cannot have expectations to play more than 10 minutes, basically. 10, 12 minutes. Is that what you want going from the NBA to Europe in your first year at the age of 26? I think Yurtseven is 26. I'm not questioning Yurtseven in general. I'm just questioning the whole movement perspective. Yeah. Cedi, we just talked that he doesn't need to be the main guy to be successful. He's going to be elite asset, but not the main guy on that team.
How many points do you think he will average?
From 10 to 12, maybe.
How many points do you think Fournier is going to average?
From 12 to 14. Not sure about the shooting percentages.
I have,
but
he's going to have a comment,
of course,
to you about that.
I'm so glad to see Evan in Europe, and I'm just waiting for his comments, not only on Twitter but also on those interviews. He's gonna make this EuroLeague more exciting.
When the Olympiacos
way more exciting.
When the Olympiacos playing Kaunas?
I don't know.
I think Osman is going to have 12, 13 points.
Okay. That's solid.
But what was that?
Korkmaz, I don't see him. I mean, he might be impactful on Monaco, but he's not going to be the number 1 guy. Maybe second or third best scorer on that team. And my another point was, to check their chances to return to the NBA. I talked to a few people, and they said that they're still on the radar because, again, they're quite young. Cedi is 29, Korkmaz is 27, and Yurtseven is 26. So, Cedi signed a 1-year deal. He has a great chance to return if he plays a solid season in Europe. We have a lot of other examples, starting from Dan Exum, even Dozier or Gershon Yabusele.
But Kendrick Nunn won EuroLeague and didn't come back. But it's a different story, different type of players. Kendrick is a ball handler that needs the ball in his hands to be effective. Cedi is an off-ball player in the NBA, so different needs. I was thinking that if you want to come back from the EuroLeague to the NBA, you need great stats, but it's also what I mentioned before, that it's different. Really, you need a perfect environment. So for different profiles of a player, you expect different things, and you don't need maybe as much points, as Kendrick Nunn. So.
Yurtseven, I was told that he still has a chance to be a backup in the NBA. Korkmaz, he has, I would say, more red flags, basically because of his defense. But still, at this age, if he performs in Monaco, he also has a chance. Because I was surprised that after Philly, he didn't wait for some other NBA opportunities, and he just decided to go to Europe. But in general, this tendency of watching so many Turkish players coming from the NBA to Europe was something interesting, I would say.
And even that Turkish national team, I mean, they had, every now country can naturalize one player, and they had Shane why they had Shane, because, you know, these guys are not the first option on the team on that level. You know, they're really good as the secondary options, but Shane was supposed to be the man there on that team, but in that I think FIBA tournament, Eurobasket, he was hurt, and I remember we were questioning,
or he got injured
in the process
in the first few games.
Yeah, and then you have him. We were surprised by that, you know, you have Cedi Osman trying to play pick and rolls, Furkan trying to play pick and rolls on one-on-one when you have Shane Larkin, and we're like, why is that? Like, Shane is better than those guys in that area, and you know, and then it was clear that he was playing for injury, and it was like, okay, now we understand that. But my point was that these guys are not the first option on the teams.
Didn't Turkey naturalize some other player now for their team? Or
They did, but I don't remember.
They started naturalization process, I think, with some really good player. I just don't remember.
If you know, write us in the comment section down below. We are going to check that after the podcast, probably.
So again, they might be promising, and maybe that's part of Ataman's plan, you know, to bounce back with Turkish national team in the upcoming Eurobasket, because now he can have two players from the national team. He can prepare them or feel them better for the upcoming event to be successful on FIBA stage. So
yep, and it's next year. Oh, Kendrick Nunn reportedly filed application. I mean, come on now.
We forgot about Kendrick Nunn.
Yo, but with Ergin, you don't look that far, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a great reaction, by the way.
Kendrick Nunn?
That's going to be the Instagram
on Turkish national team
social post.
Wow.
Filed application for Turkish citizenship.
Wow.
Okay. He would replace Tariq Biberovic on the national team as a naturalized player, but the Turkish Federation
all the
will
love
start.
To Tariq. I can afford that replacement, really. So they're gonna have Kendrick Nunn, Cedi Osman, Furkan Korkmaz, Yurt Seven, Alperen Şengün, Sean Lee, somebody else.
No, it's just
favorite Gitas player, Osmani.
Ersan Osmani. Yeah. It's just fun how Ataman just got two Turkish players to PAO, and one PAO player is going to play for the.
He got Shane. Yeah.
Then before it was Shane from Anadolu.
Just Scotty, he didn't play for Ataman, I think. Maybe he played against Ataman during his Darüşşafaka years.
In previous teams?
Yeah.
We have to
against
check. We have to check that. Wait.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. Yeah.
Let's go next with the most impressive off-season signings. We just wanted to preview the biggest transfers that we saw in the EuroLeague, because we just got two big moves with Evan Fournier and Cedi Osman. And also the list of changes is impressive. And we're not even going to include those contract extensions. A lot of great players stayed and they are worth recognition, such as Shane Larkin, Mike James, Eddie Tavares. A lot of great names stayed with their teams. But we're going to focus on those players who changed their teams, or they joined the EuroLeague from the NBA or from the other markets. So the task was to list 5 best of season transfers from our personal perspective, and our personal perspective might be very individual, I would say.
Yeah, you don't take this list as like
a ranking
of 5 best off-season moves, because that ranking would take I don't know. It still would be subjective. So we just decided to rank the 5 transfer moves that we liked a lot.
Yeah, we have our own different criterias why we put those players on the list,
and we are going to have arguments of why we have them on this list.
Yeah, we can. I wasn't ready, to fight you, but yeah, let it be.
No, we don't need to fight.
Okay. Arguments, you mean behind your picks, right?
Yeah.
I thought that's okay.
No. I'm not going to fight you.
You're a good guy, man.
I'm not going to fight you unless you made some bullshit decision in your list.
It's impossible to mess up this list, I guess.
Do you want to start? No, so many players. I was actually surprised how much of, how many moves were made during this EuroLeague offseason. I mean, okay, Maccabi, Partizan, you already have 20 different moves. You add Zvezda, 25. You add Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, you have 33. You have Zalgiris, 7 new players, right?
More or less.
40. So a lot of players to choose from. Who do you have?
Let's say I try to put some imaginative criteria to my picks, and I was thinking about the need, how much this team needs this player. I was thinking about the level of the player, the status of the player in the EuroLeague. I thought about the fit, which is also basically the same as a fit, and I thought about the X factor. That could be entertaining factor from the general perspective. That could be my personal factor, why I like this move or why I'm intrigued about this move. And I found I will go with few blockbuster signings, and I will go with couple maybe potentially under the radar signings to some extent. Not very niche picks, but those guys who doesn't get the same spotlight like Cedi Osman that we dedicated the entire podcast. So
before you start, I just don't imagine if we have more than one player the same name.
Yeah, because you have
so many names.
I would say very individual selection of the players, I guess. That's my feeling. Because I decided that, okay, I cannot go too niche. I cannot go too radical with my personal picks, because I want kind of preview the upcoming season, so I have to include some big names. And I thought that there's a guy who ticks all the boxes at the top level, I would say. So from the level status standpoint, from the team need standpoint, and from the excitement, intrigue, and entertainment, and curiosity, unpredictability status. Can you make a guess?
Sasha Vezenkov.
No. I don't have any... Okay, I don't want to make it look bad, but I mean...
It was the way you said team needs, which was kind of that team didn't need that too much.
No. That team needed this guy a lot.
Vito Brown. Okay, he's not a big name yet. Because I have him on my list.
Okay.
No, I just say it. I don't know.
Wade Baldwin.
Oh, I have him as number 1 too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's
crazy.
Nice. I mean, we're talking about top or one of the top guards in the competition. Potentially biggest EuroLeague star that moved places. I'm not including guys like Shane Larkin and Mike James. I'm talking about the guy who changed his team. Level of excitement to see him playing for Šarūnas Jasikevičius is another topic. That's my X factor for this move. Unpredictability, how it goes with Šaras, how it goes in a different team is also another thing. And we're talking about I'm not saying that Fenerbahce wasn't a powerhouse before, but I think that Wade Baldwin and other signings puts them to even a higher level. So Wade Baldwin is my obvious number 1 pick that I just couldn't... I tried to be original, but I couldn't ignore this move. And we just have to address it. We have to put it on the table, and we have to talk about it.
To me, he's also the first name. As I was looking through the depth charts of every team, and like I was looking for the green boxes that in my Excel represents like new players. Simple. To win at any level of basketball, NBA, EuroLeague, you need a big name in the perimeter, and he is as big as name can get in the EuroLeague. A tall guard and Šarūnas Jasikevičius. That intrigues me so much, and I think that will be a success. He's 28 now. I think he's entering his prime, both in his skill and in his decision making, and I just think it could be huge, but at the same time, he's not going to win alone. So unless Fener adds a big name in the center position, I just still can't.
Not necessarily big name, but big guy. They just need big body at the center position.
That's right.
Name can be as short as possible.
Because now Fener I was so excited. Like I was thinking of adding Bonzi Carlson, one of my favorite players, also to this list, like next to Wade.
Yeah.
Because now Fener seems like, that meme with a car or a bus where you have a really nice, front and the back is just not that great. This meme is often used, I think, with Turkish football teams where you have like a midfield and offensive players, forwards of a really high caliber, and then defense. Well, who needs defense?
The only buzz that comes to my mind is Jose Mourinho's buzz, actually. So I just have a different thing,
but yeah. So
my experience with buses is a bit different. Sorry,
and with football.
Who?
Wade Baldwin to Fener. I like this idea, and to me, he's also at the top of this list.
Although we have a lot of Beyond Plus members on our private Discord channel. By the way, you can join it on basketnews.com/plus, and the first month is for free.
Almost forgot it.
I need some practice, after my time off.
It's preseason for everyone.
Exactly. We're a little bit rusty, but we're gonna be fine. So a lot of people think that Wade Baldwin for sure gonna fight Šarūnas Jasikevičius, both verbally and physically, probably. But from what I heard, they're getting along, and the whole process is getting way better than everybody thinks. Of course, it's a honeymoon. It's September. It's a preseason where everybody loves everyone except from this Rimas Kurtinaitis player that we saw in Kaunas yesterday. It's crazy that after 2 weeks, your player is like sending you like to this.
Sending you the other way.
To this place, in such a vocal and expressive way. So anyways, the whole thing might be just a little bit exaggerated. The whole feeling that, Šaras and Wade Baldwin, they cannot get along and stuff like that. So the whole thing is way better than everybody thinks, at least right now.
Yeah.
2-3 weeks into the preseason.
My second pick, and I just couldn't, I was like Sasha Vezenkov to Olympiacos.
Okay. I just want to say that I bet that we're going to have two same players on the list. But let's see.
Okay. I have Sasha Vezenkov. To me, he's the epitome of Olympiacos team play and their style of play offensively. I think he's hungry to win the EuroLeague. And to me, he's one of my favorite players to watch. His off-ball movements. I think with the players he will have around him, it will make just that easier for him to shine once again. And he's such a big move for Olympiacos this summer to get him back after only one season. And, this was a subjective pick because he is super important for that team. But at the same time, they did pretty well even without him. So it's just more of a pick because I like his style of play. To me, he represents what Olympiacos are trying to show in the last couple of years, and that's why I included him. But I understand that you could argue this pick.
There's no reason to argue. I mean, he's just very exciting player to watch, but I was just missing this excitement, factor. Because
to me, the way he plays is the excitement factor.
Yeah, I was looking for some different factors, because I already, I've seen Sasha Vezenkov in Olympiacos. I've seen him being great. I need some, to make things spicy. And also, he doesn't fit my team needs box because I think that Alec Peters was doing a nice job. I'm not saying this is a necessary move. It's again, luxury move, which will make Olympiacos better. But just from my personal preference, I just didn't want any Panathinaikos or Olympiacos players on this list because we spent 40 minutes talking about Panathinaikos and Olympiacos on this podcast. So I was like, okay, Olympiacos and Panathinaikos fans, just relax. I'm gonna keep my takes for the next episode.
So let's go with your second pick.
But of course, I couldn't ignore my guy KP, Kevin Punter, the Kevin Durant of the EuroLeague.
I knew.
Another easy choice, top class, top skill.
The team needed him.
Big team need, huge team need. That's basically the main thing about this whole pick because Barca was one of the worst offensive teams last season, according to Bibalytics. Their 3-point rate, their 3-point shooting, true shooting, they were bottom 6. They were 14th in ISO plays made on average 43.3 percentage, and 9th in contested field goals made, and they had only 12 offensive rating per Bibalytics.
12 offensive rating?
Yep, in the regular season. So although they started good, but later this rating has decreased.
I was like, when you said it, I was like, they were in like top 5 for the first half of the season.
Exactly. Exactly. So, the clear gap at the scorer position, Laprovitola will have his life easier as well. And KP, just to see him switching places is also a nice and exciting thing. I thought that he did his best in Partizan. Those things didn't end well. And I thought that it was a good move, good time to move. And he looks really good in Barca jersey. So I'm kind of excited to see more excitement on Barca's backcourt for the next season.
I had a feeling you will include Kevin because of,
I just couldn't ignore it. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good pick because, team needs is just a perfect argument for it.
Excitement level also comes from this signing being really unexpected. When I got the news, when I broke the news, I was like, okay, this is a big thing. Is that really happening? I mean, KP leaving Partizan, he had a 1-year contract. He's leaving basically for free for some, I don't know, interesting reasons. It was something personal. Not personal, but also coming from mutual respect to let him go after year 1. So it was...
He had a 2-year deal, right?
Yeah. Very unexpected move.
Right. Go with your third pick. We'll go like this, the draft mode.
I will go with my last blockbuster move, I would call it.
Okay.
And to me, the blockbuster move was Vincent Poirier going from Real Madrid to Efes. Because we're talking about one of the best centers of the free agency. And we're talking about he brings a lot of excitement on the court. He's dunking, he's posterizing people. He gets posterized, but I respect the guy because, he takes the challenge. Okay, he's getting posterized by Matthias Lesord a lot, maybe, but, at least he brings his body. That requires some kind of a sacrifice and, you have to be brave to do that. So shout out to Vincent Poirier. And he brings to Efes what this team really needs badly. Rim protection, elite defense, both on the perimeter and at the rim, because Efes was the worst defensive team last EuroLeague season. They were
best offensive team.
They were bottom 4 in allowed 2-point shots. Their defense used to collapse all the time on the perimeter, so they needed a rim protection. And I think that in general, they're going to be a better defending team because of the way they, had this concept of this roster, the forwards that they brought with Stanley Johnson and Wara, Roland Schmitz, and all of these guys. Vincent Poirier was amazing last season, and he was always clearly a starting center on most EuroLeague teams. But, I'm just happy that he's going to get out of this Eddie Tavares shadow. And I checked his stats. When Vincent Poirier played more than 20 minutes, I think he had like 11 games like that last season in the EuroLeague. He was averaging 12 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 2.2 block shots. What does that mean in the big picture? For instance, 7.5 rebounds. Josh Nebo led the EuroLeague in rebounds with 7.1. Tavares led the league in blocked shots with 1.5. And we're talking about Poirier blocking 2.2 shots when he's playing more than 20 minutes. So, he can be really dominant. He will get more playing time. The last time he played as a starting center, he later signed in the NBA. So I think that's a huge move for Efes.
Yeah, I agree with everything what you said. Stanley Johnson, by the way, is going to be, I think, huge for them defensively. They should be a way better defensive team than last year. That's without a doubt. And I had on my list another player from Efes, but it's not him.
Roland Schmitz?
No, Jordan and War.
Oh, okay.
I mean, big wing who can score with a huge wingspan. 6'7" with a 6'10" wingspan. He can shoot. He will shoot a lot. He has skills on offense, and together with Shane Larkin, who should have a huge load offensively, and will continue to attract defenses. To have a guy who can actually, accomplish him. I think it should work great for Efes. In the NBA, I think he lacked athleticism a little bit to create for himself. I think with his size and with his skill set and with less athleticism in Europe, it should be easier for him. So I think he can be a really nice EuroLeague player. I think he can be a really important player for Efes. And the question marks are his decision-making and defense. But I think with how FS are constructed this year, it might not be as big of an issue as it was in the NBA. So I just expect big things. I know there are mixed opinions about him in Europe, but I just think he's going to be a really nice addition for FS.
I had this discussion about FS with one basketball guy, and we kind of came to the same conclusion that although FS was known as a very high caliber offensive team, I mean, they produced the best offensive rating last season, isn't that this year with this particular roster, they're just a little bit missing that offensive spark or more helpers to Shane Larkin? Because, previously they had Will Clyburn as well. Then it was also Vasilij Micic. Is Jordan Nwora is good enough to be second scorer on this team, to be this main guy to help Shane Larkin to carry the offensive load and also to help this team to win and to potentially return to the top 8 and to compete for the Final Four?
That's a great question. I think that's a main question for their success, and I think only time can answer us this question. If you ask me this, I think yes, but it's just me trying to predict what's going to happen. So I can be right, I can be wrong, and only time will tell. I mean, from the preseason, I didn't see much. I just saw the stats, but I saw Jordan scored around 15 points, had like 4 assists. So
probably a lot of other players has to step up offensively as well. Elijah Brandt, Darius Thompson,
Rodrigue Boba. They have options like Roland Schmitz as well. Shane with Fournier, with Dan Oturu as the pick and roll rollers. That should be effective. So they won't have. I don't know how to say this, but I think they will be good. I don't think they're going to be the number 1 offense as they were last year, but their defense should be way better than the 18th spot, so I think it should translate to wins.
Yeah.
At which spot in the EuroLeague? I may be too high about them, but I see them, anywhere from 4th to 6th, I think.
Okay.
In that range, 5 to 7 maybe.
Yeah.
If things go really well, 4th, what I mentioned before. So my 4th pick is Sylvain Francisco.
Okay, nice.
And
I was expecting a different Zalgiris player, to be honest with you.
Tyron?
Although you love too many Zalgiris players this offseason.
Tyron?
I was actually expecting you to bring Smailagić's name,
I was thinking about Smailagić.
Me too. I had a lot of arguments actually for Smailagić, but I was like, okay, probably August gonna bring that up, so I'm gonna just add some stuff.
I just picked Francisco because he will play more with the ball, and that's why. And still, Smailagić might have an issue with fouls a little bit way too often. I think he's going to be great for Zalgiris, but I think Sylvain Francisco has that. I've been telling you about him since he was in Peristeri days.
I remember we were watching Ritas Peristeri in Jeep Arena. It was a regular season game, I guess.
Yeah.
And August was like, watch this guy, Francisco. He's amazing. Just look at him. And he was actually killing it, but the fact was that was a bad game because Peristeri lost by 30 or something.
They were
but Francisco was
20.
already, displaying his potential.
You could see that he was better than this level. To me, the biggest question mark is his health. And that's it. I really like him. I think he has the ability to create something out of nothing. And that's one of the biggest commodities in basketball. When you just have like 5 or 6 or 7 seconds, you have a guy who can create something with the ball for himself, for others. And why I like Francisco is that because he can drive the ball inside, kick it out. I think he's a little bit underrated passer. But at the same time, he can make shots for himself. Pull up, freeze,
exciting player
at
to
the
watch.
rim. So not only he can create for himself, but also for others. And that first step, his acceleration is ridiculous, really. So that's a rare combo. Zalgiris will need that. And I think, with Andrea Trinchieri from the start of the season, from the first day of preseason, being with the team, I think they can do a lot of great things. And that's why I pick Francisco as well to be. I think he's going to be the main guy for Zalgiris.
I was expecting big things from him in Bayern already. Not like big things, but promising things that would lead to a successful second season. But from what I've understood, Pablo Lasso and his approach on Francisco and on his team wasn't probably the right thing for what Francisco needs. And the situation that he has now in Zalgiris might put him in a better situation to actually show his full potential. And that's what I'm actually expecting. And you mentioned those things that people should, that people are underrating. I think that his defense in general is a bit underrated, and especially his on-ball defense is amazing. The way he's can active. Pressure the guys is something big. And I think that it also comes from feeling good on the team, feeling motivated. And if there are any problems, he might not show that, what he's capable of doing as a high pressure defender, but from what I saw from first 2 games, of course, it's super early to judge, but he was really motivated. Let's put it this way.
Your 4th guy?
I'm going to go with a newcomer. Probably we're going to have 10 most promising or 10 newcomers that we love the most in the EuroLeague.
Is he wearing black?
Before the season, he's wearing black and white. He's wearing the jersey that I was desperate to buy in Lille, but I couldn't because it was sold out. So
I just knew you're going to have KP and Curlick Jones in this list. It's Curlick Jones, right?
Of course, of course. It's just hard not to like the guy who is preparing for his EuroLeague debut. Even from the market standpoint, why I love this move. I've checked all the top EuroLeague teams. There was a lot of movement on backcourts. Some teams kept their star guards, and to have a really good guard on your team is another, it's a luxurious thing to have because they're super important. And to keep them on your team is amazing. That's what FS did with Shane Larkin, 4-year extension, Mike James Monaco, 3-year extension, Facundo Campazzo signing with Real Madrid. That's cool. Other big teams made bold moves. Wade Baldwin coming from Maccabi to Fenerbahce. That's cool. There was a lot of movement in other teams like Cody Miller, McIntyre, from Baskonia to Zvezda on a really big deal. But what I loved the most about this move is that Partizan, among very few teams, only basically couple teams, decided to kind of risk or just go with an option that wasn't studied in the EuroLeague. This is what Curlick Jones brings, because I've checked all the other teams that went for guards coming not from the EuroLeague, and there were only Baskonia getting Kamar Baldwin, Milan,
and Trent Forrest, right?
Yeah, and Trent Forrest. Milan with Nenad Dimitrijevic. You can say that, okay, Zalgiris with Tyron Wallace, but, he's more of a scorer, maybe shooting guard, point guard player, although all these positions, they're basically, means the same, but he's a bit different type of player. So I love that Partizan took Curlick Jones. From what I heard, they're considering him as a main point guard option in their preseason games and their
For sure.
Practices. He showed a lot of potential on South Sudan team already in the G League as well. He proved everything. He was chasing the NBA. He couldn't get that chance, but I think that he has all the tools to be successful here in the EuroLeague. From what I heard, sometimes watching South Sudan playing, I was like, can you trust on him on a big EuroLeague team? Because the season is long. You have to be consistent. You have to be some kind of a leader for your team. So I was doing some research about his personality, and from what I heard, Curlick Jones can be moody sometimes, but when he feels well on his team and he likes his team, when he has a good connection with his head coach, he can be the best leader that you can have on your team. He will bring your teammates to the dinner. He gonna be excited. He's gonna spark you as a teammate, and you're gonna feel really good around Curlik Jones. And I think that he might have this feeling playing for Željko Obradović, playing in front of this fan base, and trying to lead this completely newly structured Partizan team. So I'm really intrigued to see this guy. I hope he, as all the other newcomers, will be successful. I love newcomers in the EuroLeague in general. I think that we, as a league, we're too stagnant with some, let's say, solidified names.
Too stagnant with players and coaches sometimes.
Yeah, and I wish all the players gets paid well, but sometimes I think that some players are a little bit overpriced just because teams are not taking risks or are not invest in scouting, and they're not into trying new things. So I think I feel, respect to Partizan going after Curlik Jones. You cannot call it, as a big time risk. Curlik Jones is a great name, and a lot of EuroLeague or big teams wanted him. He wasn't ready for that move, but they made a really good signing, and I can see few EuroLeague teams that went for other options, although they should have gone after Curlik Jones in my eyes.
You mentioned overpaid a little bit players. Can you go deeper into that?
Not on this podcast.
Not really, but after the pod you will tell me.
Not today. I'm not in the mood. I'm moody. I'm a moody person. And I'm not in the mood to discuss our guys.
Overplayed players, right? For the next podcast, guys, we will have Donata's 5 most overplayed players in the EuroLeague.
But meanwhile, waiting for that podcast, you can share your list in the comment section.
That will be probably on the Q&A episode, but those players will definitely see that.
Yep.
Curlik Jones is a great signing. I think he's going to have an incredible season, and really excited to see him play for Partizan. Great guy. I think he's going to have a hell of a season. And my last guy is Vito Brown for Monaco. You were talking about team needs for the last 20 minutes. Shooting from the front court, team needs, Monaco, right. Check. I think he was going to be in the EuroLeague already last year, to be honest, because he had a great season in the Champions League. Active, energetic forward with the ability to shoot. He had 1.41 points per possession on spot ups. That's ridiculous actually numbers. 1.24 points per possession on pick and pops. So these are amazing numbers. And when you pair that with Mike James, Nick Kaladis, Furkan Korkmaz, all the other guys, I think he can be a really, really effective player for Monaco. Fit-wise, everything makes sense. Hard worker, So I think this transfer could be, in that category that got a little bit overlooked because so many big names signed for other teams. A lot of teams went through, overbuilds. Olympiacos, Panathinaikos,
stealing the spotlight.
So Monaco doesn't have a big fan base.
Yep.
I didn't want to say they don't have a fan base, but that's not far from true, I guess. So other players took the spotlight, but I think Vito Brown can really, change the face of Monaco team, of how you approach playing them. I think that would be the biggest change that Vito Brown can bring to Monaco.
I was trying to find a stat from about pick and pops made last season in Turkey, but I see that the Instat is struggling a little bit. Anyways, good pick. I would say a bit niche pick, but nice pick. So my last pick is actually, I don't feel good about that. I wanted to include as many teams as possible, but I cannot not to recognize Fenerbahce's offseason and Bonzi Colson signing. Because again, not just because he's an amazing player, we can kind of call him underrated player at the start of the last season, and I think that throughout the season he proved that nobody can call him underrated anymore. He was amazing. Watching him in the playoffs against Panathinaikos, against the future EuroLeague champions, he looked like the guy who Panathinaikos actually needed, and he would have been an amazing upgrade for them. But I don't know what Fener does in this, negotiation process. But I mean, taking the best available or the best player who left the team of the market, from the guards, from the backcourt players with Wade Baldwin, and then going after, I would say, the best free man that was available and didn't switch teams, because you can say that Mario Hezonja, he's a bigger caliber player. But other than that, they stole the best player that was on the market in Bonzi Carlson, and I think that he fits Fenerbahce's picture as well. And I checked just for you to get to have a better picture about the free agency and small forward market. Other small forwards that were signed, with no disrespect or something, just to have a picture, we're talking about Cedi Osman recently. Right. Then there was Nikola Kalinic, Will Clyburn, Isaac Bonga, Sterling Brown, Stanley Johnson, Timotei Luavo-Cabarro, Levi Randolph, Blossom Game, Justin Anderson, and pretty much it. Maybe I'm missing something. In my eyes, Fenerbahce took the best player who was available, except from Hezonja, and of course, Cedi Osman. Probably nobody seriously considered him at the start of the free agency. So I think that was a bold move by Fenerbahce. I don't understand why some particular teams didn't invest in him more to acquire him, Monaco. But, I think he might be huge for Fener. It's going to be a very exciting lineup with Wade Baldwin, Carlson, Nigel Hayes-Davis, a rim protector that they need a lot, shooting guards, I don't know, Devon Hall, Marko Guduric. It might be a very interesting roster to watch. And again, I don't know what they do. I know that they have great baklavas in Istanbul, but they have to bring something. They have to offer something to be so good at the table of negotiations by bringing Wade Baldwin and Bonzi Carlson. That's amazing. I heard that they're close, so maybe this connection and Wade's decision to go to Fener maybe also inspired Bonzi to choose Fener. But I'm just guessing. But anyway, that's a huge summer for Fenerbahce. Big rebuild after a successful year. I mean, making the Final Four after the coaching change is huge. You have to have this to go through this rebuild, and you rebuild the team this way. That's solid.
I'm telling you, if they get a center, they are a really huge contender for the EuroLeague title.
Yep, I agree. And they still have this roster spot open.
Yep.
We'll see. Oh, and that concludes our best off-season signings in our eyes, from our perspectives and different individual subjective angles.
Anything else, or?
Zalgiris. 5 minutes for Zalgiris, okay? For Zalgiris fans.
You go.
No, you go.
I go. I already told you about what I think about Zalgiris. I mean,
top impressions about Zalgiris. Top 2, top 3 highlights.
That they have so many players is going to be a really huge factor, I think, for Andrea Trinchieri.
But all the teams have depth nowadays.
I don't think not all the teams have as many good players as you can have, at
similar level?
At similar level.
Yeah.
The quality will not go down with Zalgiris as you go through the list. And that's a huge help for the coach. Like, imagine having 12 players to choose from. If one guy is missing or doing something bad, you can go just with another one and the quality does not go down. I think that's going to be huge. And Matt Mitchell is the guy I'm looking to see the most in the EuroLeague. Like, the guy played already 4 positions in 2 friendly games, from the point guard to power forward. And I know you also really liked what you saw from him.
Yeah.
I mean, the strength that he has.
The way he used that strength.
Yeah. So basically, from the point guard, I'm calling him the wild card, the joker. And I think he's going to be really good for Zalgiris.
I think it was one of the most overlooked signings this summer in Lithuania. In in terms of Zalgiris fans, recognizing those signings. Everybody was talking about Francisco, Tyron Wallace. I don't remember anybody saying, "Oh, this Matt Mitchell guy signing is amazing." And watching and hearing, things about him, I really like him. Although he didn't have a greatest stat line, but by scoring 6 points, he might be so impactful. Drawing fouls, drawing double teams, passing the ball, and only if he makes a 3-point shot. I think that's the biggest question that will define his EuroLeague future. If he will make 3-point shot at least 35-38%, he will be really solid. But that's the minimum.
That's a big percentage.
Yeah,
he can,
because in the last 2 years, I think he was shooting like 28 or something at Besiktas.
Oh,
or numbers
I don't have the numbers right now.
Different in different competitions, maybe.
Yeah, the numbers were pretty different, I think, in different competitions. But I can see teams are trying to limit him, leaving him wide open. But I've seen him hit open spot ups. So I think he's not a bad shooter. It's just that he doesn't do that very often, So, but at the same time, his strength is elite. He can push the ball into transition. If he's playing the guard spot, he has the strength advantage over basically anyone really in the EuroLeague.
Defensively, he's a beast. He goes after the point guard.
Wow. Defensively, he's
a bully.
Weight point, as you call it. To me, what impressed me the most is he's one time guarding the opposing forward, power forward. The next point, he actually started the friendly game guarding the ball handler. And then he's guarding the power forward. So, to have the ability just to put a guy into any position. Also, what intrigues me a lot is you can play switch all with him easily. He's guarding your best perimeter player. He switches. Zalgiris they just switch, and the opposing team does not have any advantage in the post because of him. Maybe the centers like Mustafa Fall and Tavares, yeah, but with any other guy, I don't think Dano Turu has any kind of advantage against Matt Mitchell in the post. I don't think you need to double the guy. So that's huge for Zalgiris. And like I said, it's the Joker, I'm calling him, or a wild card.
I've just had this discussion with, again, basketball pal, I would call him. And he brought an interesting idea. Matt Mitchell reminds Deshaun Pierre a lot. But in my eyes, Matt Mitchell has an intriguing upside compared to Deshaun Pierre, because I think that Matt is a higher motor player, and he's more aggressive in trying to use his strength and body on both ends of the floor. I'm not saying that Deshaun Pierre is a bad player. Come on, he's playing for Fenerbahce. He's being a valuable asset on that team. But just looking at the long-term project in Matt Mitchell, if he again shoots the ball well beyond the arc, he might be really, really great player. Talking about threes, did I hear well?
Talking about who?
3-pointers.
Oh.
Did I hear well, or Žalgiris scout Erikas Kirvelaitis, who did an amazing job commentating both games, said that Trinkieri wants Žalgiris to shoot over 30 3-0 threes per game? Because
why not?
Baskonia averaged 29 and they led the league last season. Žalgiris was averaging 25 and ranked 11th. I was like, okay, that's interesting. And from those differences that we might face watching Žalgiris, this is one of the things that comes to my mind first. And also, being small, fast, quick, aggressive, positionless, playing more transition basketball. That's what also, intrigued me a lot. And from what I understood, it's one of the Trinkieri's, goals, the way he wants to change this team.
Basically, what I saw is that they're going to be like a modern NBA team, the way they play.
Okay.
It's 5 out, a lot of 5 out with the center in the middle.
A lot of accolades,
What do you mean?
On Žalgiris, modern NBA team.
That's not an accolade.
Yeah,
that's not an accolade.
It's just
philosophy.
Yeah,
They want to play a lot of 5 out offense with the center in the middle, a lot of off-ball screening actions. They want to play a lot through the post with different advantages without a set play. And they want to share the ball. They want to run in the transition and to shoot. I mean, from what I saw in those couple of games, they were shooting at the first possibility that was available. Any guy, transition, there's a shot. Brady Manick is wide open for a half a meter. That's a free going to the rim. So I love the ball movement. I thought that was a big emphasis. So the spacing is a big emphasis. And just the way Trinchieri and, Zalgiris staff, built a team is like a lot of guys who can play multiple positions. So there's not really a lot of positions when you play on the court. You just play through the advantages and you shoot whenever it's possible. So a lot of guys who can shoot on that team. And from what I saw in the first two, they're going to shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah, and what impressed me also a lot was that Trinchieri wants all the players to be aggressive with the ball in their hands and to create. And I think that they have better personnel for that reason right now. I mean, watching Brian Dunstan sharing the ball, reading the situations, using his hands in defense, or for getting offensive boards, that was amazing. And I think that Trinchieri will be able to utilize more of his playbook ideas with this current personnel if things won't go wrong with the injuries.
That's why I think they chose Dunstan over Kavaris Hayes because of his decision making. So and the experience defensively. So I don't think he will play that much, but for their style of play that they want to go through this season, I think he fits better. And the last thing, I had something in my mind like 10 seconds ago, but I forgot about it now.
But Gloria Cup will test all your good feelings about Zalgiris. I mean, that's going to be a real test for Zalgiris. And that's where
the first two
weeks.
The first two games were just to see the ideas and the real level. Oh, that's what I wanted to say.
Or the potential upside of this team.
Yeah. To see the ideas, to see what was emphasized and what is emphasized during the preseason. To me, that's kind of clear. The level of the team is, you can't say at this moment. This will be more clear just when the EuroLeague season starts, not during this friendlies, not during the Gloria Cup. But probably my biggest worry is the front court and how that front court will hold defensively. You have a lot of different options, but I don't know. I don't know how that how that defense will.
You're missing strength.
I don't know what I'm missing. I'm missing maybe speed.
Okay.
But you can have that with Smilagic at the 5.
Maybe you're missing athleticism a little bit, except from Smiley.
Yeah, it's something in that, like speed, athleticism, that category. But I can see why they chose Dunstan over Hayes. And with Dunstan, with Birutis, and with Smilagic, you will have different strategies that you can use. So, you can try to maneuver through that, and maybe things will go okay.
That's freaking hot in the studio, man. We have to wrap it up.
Oh, yeah, I was sweating before.
We have to wrap it up. But EuroLeague preseason is also getting hotter. I couldn't imagine EuroLeague teams making big moves at the start of this September, which is crazy. So who knows what comes next? Maybe in the few days we're gonna discuss another blockbuster move, and we're gonna have to reshape our list of biggest transfers.
All I can see is Fournier getting a center.
Oh yeah, sooner or later. Better sooner.
I don't see any other team making a huge. Milano point guard. Maybe.
Maybe. Go read an article of Orazio Kauki about the backcourt selection and backcourt vision that he wrote about Milan. It's a fresh new article available entirely for BN Plus members. And from the bigs, you mentioned that you need a rim protector, right?
Oh, there's Usman Garuba news. He's reportedly out for 6 to 8 weeks with stress fracture.
Damn, I thought 6 to 8 months.
No.
They have Eddie Tavares and Serge Ibaka. They're probably gonna survive. And from the bigs, who would shake up the market? What if they go after Bismack Biyombo?
Who? Fournier?
Yeah.
That's a big name.
Boban
for
Marjanovic.
EuroLeague.
I'm just checking at some out-of-the-box NBA free agents that could potentially fit the role. JaVale McGee, maybe not. Robin Lopez.
I don't know, man. Like who's available? That just depends on the
Dwayne
players.
Dedmon.
Those guys. I mean, that decision depends on the player, not really on the team. So,
Yep. Okay.
okay, guys.
Thank you all for watching. Subscribe, like, join BM Plus community, and just share the love of basketball.
See you guys next time.